What's going on, YouTube? Marine X back at it again. Okay, back from Blade Show Atlanta. Good old time. Today technically is day 3. I went day 1, had my feel of stuff. There's so much stuff that I'm excited to see dropping really, really soon. But I just wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that I picked up. Now, some of this stuff is just me really looking for some budget alternatives to the Montana Knife Company, the Montana. Now, this is for me personally, when I do my full review of this knife, I literally can understand where the price point comes from. But there's going to be some folks that organically are just not going to be okay with spending $400 on a pocket knife that they perceive to be basic. So we'll talk about that. But that was kind of like my hunt for the show, is could I find like an equivalent made in America type of thing, or maybe even made in Taiwan, or God forbid, made in China. Now, I wanted to show you some stuff that I thought was very interesting. So these are Reiki Rookie knives. Now, these are some very budget bangers that I saw coming in. This is a sister company of Phoenix Flashlights. And so they said, hey, do you want to check out these knives and just see what they look like? We think that you actually might like them. And I actually was kind of impressed from just a little bit that I saw at the show. So this one is their model P746. Very trash names for their knives, but I will say I do like what you're getting here when it comes to just very subtle features. Okay, so this is carbon fiber scales, a very accessible blade. You're getting a liner lock, which is actually pretty accessible liner lock. You're getting some good thumb studs. So of course, this is made in China, and the blade still on this is, I think it's 14C28N. Yeah, it is 14C28N blade steel. But I really like the way this knife felt in the hand. I love the detailing on this thing has an entire just back spacer on it. It helps support those liners just that much more, because when you're getting a budget liner lock like this, it's not going to have titanium liners. They're probably not even going to be inset, on the inside of the handles themselves. Very budget when it comes to the hardware. It's not going to be titanium. And this is technically, is it reversible? I don't think it's a reversible pocket clip. I think it actually looks pretty good. I'll link this to anything I see down below. I think that this one's going to be sub $70. It does have like this little front flipper as well if you want to use it that way. But I'm usually not the type of person that does the front flip. But if you like that, if you're just like the type of person that does a lot of fit, maybe you want to do that as well, to check that out. So I thought this was a pretty dope. And another one I saw coming from, is it Reiki? Listen, Rook. Somebody comment down below. I know I'm probably jacking the name up. This is the P801G. Now, I got to tell you guys, okay? You guys got to come up with some more fire names. Your names can't sound like robotic names that come out of a factory. That's going to be my one critique, because I touched these knives at the show and I liked them, so I wanted to check them out, but that doesn't mean that I like the names. So this one, I like the fact you get the G10. That, gives you frame lock vibes. And so the show side's G10. This side is stainless steel. This one is also a budget steel. I don't think this is the 14C28N, or is it? This is D2. No, this is 14C28N. So very, very subtle on this. This gives me vibes of like a Praxis, like a Civivi Praxis, but just a little bit more swag to it. With around the pivot, you got a little bit of gold there, a lanyard hole here. This side, you still have a little bit of around the pivot itself. And I think this one's going to be less than $30. Okay, so less than, where I definitely know it's less than 40. So maybe don't misquote me on that. But I do think that if you're just looking for a very good knife, why did I say I wanted to check these knives out? I wanted to check these two knives out because I think that these are really good knives to give to someone that is prone to get a gas station knife. They're okay with just grabbing a gas station knife, letting it eventually wear down until it needs to be sharpened, and then they just go buy another gas station knife. These are better than that. And these are going to be something you can learn how to sharpen. They're going to look better than a gas station knife. They come with the warranty of a company, albeit even if it's an overseas company, versus grabbing something at your local gas station that may last, a couple of months before they're struggling to cut through something, because a dull knife is a dangerous knife. Also, we got in from Stay Ready More. This is a company that I don't think got enough attention. They sent me a knife in 2024, and I liked it, but it didn't really scream at me to really want to show it on the channel. So at Blade Atlanta, they had a very decent sized booth, but I think that, listen, I'm gonna be real with you. This is America, and when everybody in your booth, just organically, you don't have anybody in the booth that speaks very good English. Some people are deterred from stopping and conversing with you. I saw it happen at Next Tool. I saw it happen at QSP. I saw it happen at Stay Ready More, because people want to know about your products and then they organically think like, God, like, they can't communicate with me well. I don't want to know more about their products. This is actually a really good value here. This is their 255L. I think this actually has a real name to it, and I've seen these sold on Blade HQ. And this is a very affordable price. I 100% know this is below $100. It looks really good. Just, I think that if this, the only thing that could put this over the top, if it was made in America, because these is like giving me the way that this, it gives me vibes of the 250th birthday of America, but it only could take me over the top to really celebrate it that way if this thing was made in America, but it's not. But notwithstanding that, it's still a really well-made knife. I mean, you're getting a very good looking knife. Look at this, look at the actual blade itself. It has this like pattern on it that it's not a Damascus blade, but it just looks fantastic. I love the price point. But when it comes to the fidget factor, you can't get past a good old crossbar lock. This is very well, just a very good looking knife. I like this one. This comes with a little carry case so that you can polish the blade up. If you gunk it up with like tape or whatever, you can carry this with you, or you can use it to carry the knife for whatever reason. So I think that looks pretty good. Navs. I really talked to Navs, and Navs came out. They had some new knives. I didn't get a chance to interview them. I was just super busy, didn't get back there. They did come out with a couple of new knives. I'll put those on the screen. I think one is called the Companion, and I forget what the other one's called. They look very, very interesting. They look high end. They look like some bangers. But I wanted to go with some of their just try and true tested knives that people really know and love. The Lander 1, the Lander 2, the OCT. Those are just some really great knives. This one here could be an alternative if you're just looking for a workhorse type of knife versus the Montana. Now, of course, the blade is shorter. This is not made in America, so you're missing out on some of the bells and whistles that you get with the Montana. But if you're just looking for a liner lock accessible knife, this could be an alternative for you. Another alternative, if you're looking just like literally for a made in America G10 Magna Cut option for you, and you don't necessarily care about the lock type, then I would easily suggest that you just pick up a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Now this one here is S45VN, I believe. Yeah, this is S45VN, but I do have a Magna Cut version, and they are starting to pump these out. This is G10. It's just like this non-colored G10 or whatever. But if you're looking for something, you're okay with the compression lock that they use on Spyderco knives in Europe, then this is an easy recommendation, because the only issue I have with the Spyderco is that the profile is very thin. I do get nervous using it in some applications. Like if I needed to cut a chunk out of a tree and I wanted to mallet the back of the knife, I would probably be more confident with the Montana. But it's going to be up to you. What another thing that's up to you is not wearing a freaking smartwatch. And that brings us to today's video sponsor, which is Veer and their C4 Tactical Field Watch. Let me tell you something. This watch, I got so many compliments at Blade Show Atlanta over this watch. There's some real watch guys in there, and it's literally kind of frowned upon in the community, at least what I saw. If you're rocking a smartwatch, a part of your EDC is a real watch, and it never felt more real than it did at Blade Show Atlanta. I saw Max Level EDC rocking one. I'll throw a picture on the screen when we both took a picture of ours, and he told me since he got his, he literally has only taken it off when he needs to shower. That's it. His looks just as good as mine. I take mine off when I sleep, and that's about it. or if I'm wearing a different watch, obviously. I love this thing. 6 hours of sunlight will get you 6 months of reserve time for this battery. It has a fantastic quartz movement, big, easy to read watch face, 41.5 millimeters. And I love the bezel on this. You can see how much time has lapsed. I use this a lot at Blade Show because I only want to spend 10 minutes at a booth, right? I take this, I'm like, all right, cool. So right now it's 09 28. So I would just move this over here. And once 10 minutes passes on the bezel, I know I need to wrap it up at that booth. I want to move on to the next place. I use this all the time. You want to do that. Maybe you're at a park and you want to give your kids just 10 minutes to play. You don't want to have to touch your phone and use that. Use it to pass time. If you're diving underwater, obviously you can use it for that type of stuff as well. Very well made. Comes with 2 watch straps. I think it looks really good. Fantastic lume on this. And the biggest thing about it is that if you get this, it's going to allow for you to rock it with a complimentary fitness type tracker like I do with the Fitbit Air versus, or even I wear the Ultra Human Ring. These are how I track my heart rate, how I track my fitness goals. Not a smartwatch. That's just me. But for you, I implore you to check this out as well. Check the links down below for the best pricing, and shout out to Vera for sponsoring today's video. Speaking of something that's not non-knives, they're not knives at all. These are from Copper Shed. Now, Copper Shed makes just very unique pocket art novelty items, which I normally shit on. But I will say this. I got the O Shed a few years ago, and I love that it had a bottle cap lifter and it had a soda can spike lifter. I guess that's the best way to say it. If you have brittle nails, or if you have like cutesy nails, like my wife would have really cutesy nails and she may want me to open up her, her drink or whatever, that's a canned drink, and I have very short nails or whatever, you can use that spike and open. It was a great party trick. But I didn't know that they were still making items. These are pretty dope. These are their bottle cap lifters. You can get it in brass, you can get it in copper, you can get it in aluminum. I have the brass and copper versions here. I think they look really good. Pull these out of the barbecue, open up someone's drink, great talking point. Put this in the middle of your hand if you want to. If you got into a fist fight, it lowers the likelihood you break your own fingers. You still might break your own fingers, but so these actually kind of serve a dual purpose. They have a keyhole, so you can put a split key ring through there if you want to. You can run a lanyard through there if you want to. I would probably run them naked. If I had to use them in a fist fight, I would. I'll link these up down below as well. I think these are really dope. If it were I probably would just get the copper and patina that bad boy over time. But that's just going to be up to you how you want to make it work. Spyderco came out with the Mantra 4. Spyderco is celebrating their 50th year. 1976 to 2026. They're 50 years strong. They're feeling really good. I think they're banging out some fantastic products. Now, they're really trying to expand their options to give you some affordability, not always having to go with some of their made in America stuff or their Taiwanese items, because those items can be a little bit more pricey. The Mantra 4 is made in China. It is, I will say that for me personally, you do have to get a little bit more work just getting used to. I'm used to the Spidey hole just really being able to get in there. This Spidey hole is a little bit. I think that if this is your first Spyderco, you're going to be okay. If you're used to the big fat Spidey hole, you're not going to get that here, but it still looks fantastic. This is going to be less than 80 bucks. It has carbon fiber. It has a very budget blade still on here with the HCR13 MOV. So you're going to be sharpening this more often. It's not going to be as rust resistant, but you know what? I think it looks really good. You're getting a liner lock on this versus the compression lock that they do on a lot of their knives. And I still think that this is a very attractive knife. I think that if you're trying to get into Spyderco, you just really want to understand this. You can either do the Spidey hole, or you have a little just like inline flipper. Very, very subtle flipper. And I don't like flippers on my knives, but if I'm gonna have a flipper, that's the type of flipper that I want. Okay. Versus something that's poking out way like that. You know, I'd much rather have a much more subtle flipper, and then it makes me more prone to want to flip it open. And flippers are very useful, especially if you have your hand on a workpiece. You're not used to using the thumb hole a lot, and you really need to open the knife because you're trying to do some work. That could be super useful for you. So I think that that Mantra 4 is going to be a good seller for them, especially coming in at the price point that they're at. And if you're trying to get more Spydercos, I can definitely see something like that. Now, we got to clear the table, because I think that If you're looking for an apples to apples comparison and you want to save money, because I've gotten a lot of folks to say, that Montana knife company, the Montana, it's just too expensive. And I've compared it with the Hinderer. I've compared it and I've seen it with knives like the Tactile knife, the Maverick, but the Maverick's a crossbar lock. And so I was like, well, what is a made in America? When I say made in America, I mean everything. The screws, the liners. What else has like titanium liners? What else has a very good, what else has a very good pocket clip? You're going to have to look for, and you also want to save some money. You're going to look for some stuff that comes from Three Rivers Manufacturing. Now, this is the Holy Nerd. Okay. Now, the Holy Nerd is not as big as the Montana. I have some other examples for you as well. But if you're just looking for spec, both G10, okay, both having mechanisms similar to a thumb stud. This is a thumb hole, not a thumb stud. Both Magna Cut, both premium hardware, both liner locks. Then this one is going to cost you within the $200 range. This one's going to cost you nearly $400. Okay. But you may say, X, the Holy Nerd is not the blade shape that I want. It's entirely too small. All that type of stuff compared to the Montana. I got you. So Holy Nerd may not be your cup of tea just because of the blade length. I will say that the most apples to apples comparison for me personally is going to be the Atom by Three Rivers Manufacturing or the Neutron. Now, my Neutron's a frame lock. They make this in a liner lock, and my Atom I have since given to a neighbor because I like to give away knives as well. But we're just going to say that this is a frame lock version of the Neutron and not a, or we're going to say it's a liner lock version of the Neutron and not a frame lock. This would be the most comparable thing. On their website, you can get this in G10 instead of the carbon fiber like I have. It is Magna Cut, just like the one I have here. In mine, instead of being titanium on the back, it would be G10 if you bought it on their website. You can get the liner lock. This is, I think, the most apples to apples to comparison. One of the most apples to apple comparison is going to be the Neutron. An even better comparison would be the Atom, which I've since given away. But you can probably get one of those for around $230. I think that's a very good comparison. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, if you like the concept of just a well-built monster, you might want to get the Rev B, but this is a crossbar lock. Maybe you don't want to worry about those springs. So, we will not necessarily go with the Rev B right now. But let me just tell you how I think that for a future iteration, how Montana Knife Company can still charge the same amount they're asking for the Montana, and people would just 100% have to, it would just make a lot of sense for me. Okay. This is what I want to see in the next iteration. You see this shadow by Three Rivers Manufacturing here. It has like these like rivets or these lines designed in the G10. It just makes it that much more unique. I would love to see a filled in ambidextrous spacer so that someone that's left-handed can still buy this. Keep your arrowhead in there because that is dope. And give me a little bit of more flair on the pivot versus just your logo on the pivot. And then on the, so that's the show side. And then on the other side, give me like a different color G10. You guys are really known for that bright orange because you do a lot of hunting knives. You can give me something like that. You can probably drop the titanium hardware and just go with stainless steel, and that might save some money. But I think that in a future version, if you give me like something similar to a Shadow by Three Rivers Manufacturing, this knife makes just that much more sense. So I just wanted to kind of take you guys through what I thought would be some of the most, close comparisons to the Montana, which we'll talk about in a future video when I do my full review because I need more time with this knife in my pocket. Now let's just talk about the big boy. Actually, before we get into big boy, let's just talk about what I got from Keybar. Now, my Keybar setup is pretty good, but what I've noticed from my Keybar setup is that it's not for sale anymore on their website or on Blade HQ or whatever. So a lot of people see the Keybar setup I have and they can't get it anymore. So I've decided to actually get a new Keybar setup, and I got their G10, and it's like this green, it's very, very muted green in here. Same, very good pocket clip, similar to the one I have. I like this one, and I got a bunch of tools they had on special at the show. So now I got some tweezers I could add into mine. I have some bottle cap lifters and some files. We have this is a little offset to put the tools on. We got to talk about the big boy, okay? Cricket, Columbia River knife and tool, whatever you want to call them. I think they're great, okay? They have great designers. They have a lot of great stories. Their M16 knife, just a lot of different stuff that they do. This knife was debuted in early 2025. It became official late 2025. So 2026 has really been the run for this knife. Okay. It's the Provoke X. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Before we get into the Provoke X, I thought another alternative, something that you might want to check out. So one thing I like about CRKT is that they're always giving you something different to just really opine about and see, could this work out for you? The build of this knife is freaking fantastic. I love it's like a swing open action. This is the K550KXP. I forget the actual, this is a Ken Onion design. I forget the name of the knife. I'll put it on the screen because I'm a doofus and I forget it, but it looks really, really good. Almost looks like a double-sided spear point, but it's not. This side is blunted. This is your cutting side. You still get the tip on there. I think it looks so sexy. This is a really, really good looking knife. I can see someone carrying this and really just liking the fidget factor, the ability to have this. This is a made in America knife as well. And I think it's a sexy alternative to the Montana. Okay, something else to consider. We'll talk about that here in the future. But the Provoke X. The Provoke X, it comes with a pocket clip. You can add that on if you want to. I don't know if I'm going to run the pocket clip because this perfectly fits in a mag holder of like a M16, 5.56 black, 300 blackout, just a mag holder that you may be running on your items or whatever. But you release the safety here, and then you can just you flick it open, and then just like that, you have a workable tool that you can use. You can use this to like an awl if you want to almost dig through a piece of wood. You can use this for chopping, and it's also just a great party trick. Now you may ask yourself, X, why would you want something like this? This is just a very, I think, a dope knife to have if you ever found yourself into a fighting situation. You can keep this in the mag holder of your kit. You can still use this to actually close it. You push this little divot up here, and then you press down on the blades themselves, and then that's how you close it. And then the safety automatically engages. So you release that safety again, and then you can open it up, and then you're just done to do it all over again. I really like the Provoke X. This is something that I would keep in a bug out kit. I would keep in a get home kit if it's legal for you to carry. And if you know you're pulling this out to do some work, this is an aggressive knife, tool, axe that when you pull this out on somebody, you know this is a Caswell design. They know that they're in a world of hurt. They know you're meaning business. They know that both of y'all intend to get cut, because if I start swinging this at somebody, I might get cut. They're going to get cut. We're all getting cut. So I think the Provoke X is a dope item. I'm going to definitely want to add to my really kind of like my bug in kit and bug out kit, because even at the house, I could see this as being a way to still be a lethal without accidentally like putting a round through the wall and hitting one of my kids. I could still fight with this inside of my house and not necessarily worry about anything like that. So the Provoke X, I think, is probably one of the best finds that I got this year. But what do you think? What's your favorite thing that you saw? Now, one thing that I literally waited and waited and waited and waited, could not get my hands on. I'm going to buy one as soon as they're available. Essie dropped an S35N crossbar lock Medellin version 2. So the older version is like 7 years old now. That's a liner lock. I thought that was a dope knife. They just dropped the second version. They sent them to some dealers, but they got them out really slow at Blade Atlanta, and I wasn't able to get my hands on one. It's going to be like 60. It's going to be like $70. S35N. So it's an older super steel, but it's still super capable. You're going to get Essie's warranty, which is like, oops, I broke the blade warranty. They'll send you another knife. And you're just going to have a reliable knife that you can have in your everyday carry. I'm going to be purchasing that as soon as it's available. And so also wanted to get my hands on a new Civivi headbanger that's going to be coming out soon. They didn't have any with them there at that I was able to get my hands on. So there's a few little things that I couldn't get. And then the biggest one for me, I'm a Benchmade sheep. I just got to keep it real with y'all. I did not get my hands on a Benchmade bug out vapor. I touched it, right? I was able to play with it at the Benchmade booth, but Benchmade wasn't selling at their booth. They were selling through their distributors. And by the time I got to Smoky Mountain, by the time I got over to Blade HQ, they were sold out. So I'm still hoping to get my hands on a bug out vapor on the SE. There's still some stuff that I want, but comment down below. Let me know, what did you guys think? First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.